Barber.
How y'all doing? I'm, a version of 01 Thuboku, and the man shaving his beard here, or what he believes to be a beard with a machete is.
Oh shit, I thought we had more time there, Marshal Boku.
We did not, my friend.
Well, the stupid floweth eternal, and by God, somebody's got to correct the dumbasses on the internet.
Well, from what they say from those skids, which I say skids, the word they use for kids, maybe I could be wrong, breaking character, so if I am, please correct me. Whatever it could be, it's sort of what, it sort of is. But yesterday, I know I already did a review on this one for you guys, but Jarek here, good old Jarek, hadn't ever seen The Highwaymen before. I was in the mood to see it. I watched it. He wanted to do a bit of a review, so this is probably one of our first ones for movies we've already done of critic consensus and also offering our own thoughts, as I told you that I wanted to do. So here you go. But what we'll just start off with, since you heard my thoughts on it, let's give a little quick one to Jack here. Jack, what'd you think of The Highwayman?
I find it awesome just how Kevin Costner keeps pumping out these great legal dramas, these cop movies, we'll say this though, Mr. Costner, please stay away from Robin Hood or anything in Europe. I'm just saying. Oh, and maybe also stay away from DC Comics movies for a while.
That movie, Robin Hood, it's corny, but man, is it fun.
Well, it gave us it gave us a what's it called? It gave us a great parody in Robin Hood Men in Tights, because I ain't gonna lie, sometimes I feel like going to the Sherwood and getting me some tights.
Well, yeah, also to that notion, it had Alan Rickman as sheriff of Nottingham. I'm not gonna complain about that one.
I mean, hey man, it's hard to follow up Spaceballs, but that ain't gonna stop the man from trying.
Yeah. Talking about Mel Brooks, the one that Kevin Costner did, because now I'm fucking confused.
Well, I said it gave us great parody,
Oh, I see what you mean, Jack, I see.
But, I love Kevin Costner for these movies. Untouchables, The Highwayman, dear God.
Dances with Wolves.
In that sense, he kind of reminds me of that, what's that asshole's name? Frank Miller. Keep him away from, like, Batman or any of the cosmic tight shit, but put his ass in New York and give him a street-level crime fighter, and by God, he can turn out a banger.
Or as my friend Simon once said, you give Kevin Costner a movie, good luck finding it under 2 hours.
Indeed, my boy, indeed.
Yeah. He jokes them all like 3-4 hours long, but I think the original cut of Waterworld, there is a director's cut, believe it or not, of Waterworld out there. My friend Simon owns it. He wants to show it to me at one point. I think it's like 4 hours, something minutes long.
God, could you imagine if, like, Avatar had Kevin Costner in it? It'd be like 6 hours.
Well, because if you remember, which I completely forgot, Waterworld was originally a miniseries. And then they turned it into a movie to fit him for better. And nobody could remember that it was a miniseries, because originally, he was right, I looked it up, it was shown on TV first before it was re-shown in theaters and featured as a movie. But, hey, it's a great fun, cheesy, but, it's a good Kevin Costner film, I can't pretend it.
Just remember, children, on this channel, you learned that Jason Momoa and Aquaman did not destroy action movies first. Kevin Costner did.
Well, again,
But hey, it was good, stupid fun,
Well, yeah, God bless 1995. But, we're here to talk about that one, so let's hear. I don't know why I just did that just now. Let me get that back up. Alright, good. I clicked the right button. That's good. Alright, let's get going. Let's start it here. From the good old Rotten Tomatoes trademark, just making sure we mention you so we don't get the video taken down, or who knows, maybe you guys will still get pissy. But, well, we won't focus too much on it, but I must say, not much has changed from Critic to, well, a little bit to fans, because fans were a little bit lower than this, because I think originally it was 68%, now it's gone up to 73%, so fan consensus is a little high, but 58 rotten from critics, not surprised there, 73 from fans, so there's a lot more fan appreciation for this film than there is, from critics. But as you know, That's how it goes.
Well, what do you expect from them self-aggrandizing muckrakers? Seriously, man, they're the whole reason we didn't get Barry Goldwater as a president,
Yeah.
don't you know?
Right, wait, hold on real quick. You must like Body Brokers, Little Woods, Outlaw King. Maybe that one makes sense. Prince Avalanche, Echo. Wow, they have a lot of weird recommendations for this film that don't technically fit.
Yeah, a little bit of a stretch on some of those.
Yeah, but anyway, let's get to the overall critic consensus. And I quote, the Highwaymen depicts law enforcement's side of the Bonnie and Clyde manhunt. A story that's unfortunately not quite as entertaining despite its marquee leads. Yeah, I don't agree with that.
I found this movie extremely entertaining, and you know what else is sad, young children? It's also the most accurate Bonnie and Clyde movie that's ever been made.
That's what I've gotten from Simon and other things that I've researched because, again, and this is also to the remake they did, and I thought it was a lot later, the remake, but Simon he showed me it was 2013, and so I guess it's been a few years old. And then there's the one, I think from the late 60s, maybe early 70s with Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty, the one that I think is the most known for most folks, which is Bonnie and Clyde. Those films, although good, and I still would like to get both of them personally, they romanticized Bonnie and Clyde a hell of a lot. There was, Simon had told me a lot about it, and then also learned some of it in school because we went a little bit deeper. I think it was in high school. We went a little bit deeper that we didn't know about. First saw the Warren Beatty film in junior high school. It was cool that we got to see a rated R. Well, it wasn't rated R yet. I think it was a not rated film, but you could tell from how the film was. It could have definitely been a rated R rating because the 60s film, also like the others, is quite violent. There's quite a bit of gore and things with the killings in it and the violence and not real language, but yeah, it was pretty graphic for, like I said, 70, 68, whenever they did it. But, still, this one really showed that Bonnie and Clyde, like I said in the thing, were not the most perfect human beings, and they weren't. Clyde was vicious. Bonnie was probably borderline psychotic, is what some people believe. And, yeah, that just, so if you guys think it was boring, you don't know good film pasting.
And not only that, the film really does depict the fact that this was the perfect storm of just dumbassery all around the board. You got people make excuses for Bonnie and Clyde while they're just robbing the banks. And then they start shooting up the cops. It's like, well, we don't like the cops. Cops are always giving us a hard time. Stop committing crimes and they'll do that, And then you got the media glorifying them, making them into celebrities. And let's face it, they did that with Billy the Kid and the James Gang and a bunch of others.
Mm-hmm.
And then, worst of all, you got the fact that both of them were, frankly, kind of good looking. I mean, Clyde got Bonnie in with his looks, and frankly, also the fact that he rolled up in a nice car that he'd stolen. And Bonnie, well, let's face it, she was kind of a bit of a looker for the age. And you got two hot kids running around shooting government authorities. Gosh, it almost sounds like a creepypasta from 2015 or something.
Well, again, you remember that's exactly what, people were, and that's exactly how it sort of is. Because, again, they were taken from the banks, and, a lot of the poor people still sometimes, I mean, not everyone, but mostly everybody supported them all the way through. But once the killing of people started, that's what sort of changed the game, and that's how it sort of became. Just like how, again, it doesn't matter, where it is, like we talked about, start killing people, that's a different thing. And as Jarek said there, how long till they would have started killing other people besides cops, that would have always been the question. Well, and that's a good thing to lead on to our next bits here.
And and it's like I told Marshall Boku here, they really were probably America, maybe even the world's first real spree killer. Well, except maybe for like Jack the Ripper, but that's another thing in another country. And sure, they weren't the first celebrity criminal. I mean, fuck, even the cowboys of our era had them beat to that shit. But in a very real sense, Bonnie and Clyde upped the game for violence and just Well, I hate to say this, but the absolutes, we don't really care as long as, we're the focus of the attention. The me, me, me. I don't care if you get hurt. I got what I want.
Yeah, and believe it or not, I'm actually shocked about this. About this, Jarek. There are a lot more positive comments than there were originally. I guess this is sort of why we can explain why the fan one also went up. Because when I did this, I think it was almost a year ago with this first review. Oh, there were a lot more negatives. But let's see. We'll take a look. See here. What do we got? What do we got? Let's see here. Because I know there was some that I remember that were just like downright, yeah, but let's see here. Reads. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, I remember. I remember this one here. We'll start off with we'll give a couple of negative ones here. We'll start out with this one because I remember this one from a Jay Krieger from Cultured Vultures, I guess. Never heard of them, really. And I quote, "Given its $50 million budget, impressive, I can't help but wonder how that could have been better spent taking risks on lesser known but more inspiring stories than this."
Yeah, apparently apparently for a cultured vulture, he's never heard of a cautionary tale or a Odyssean tragedy. But
Well, yes.
hey, not everybody goes to drama club.
Well, yes, and to add to that, we've never really had a storytelling of Frank Hamer and what he went through trying to bring, essentially, again, yes, they were stealing from government banks, and yes, however you look at it, they were killing people. No matter the right and wrong, it's still at that time a crime, and, we looked at cops differently than we do today, and they were considered peace officers. And again, the rule was, and Lee Simmons, the marshal in this movie for Texas, said that he had charged them. He knew, and everybody else in this film knew, that more than likely Bonnie and Clyde were going to get killed. They were talking of ways of maybe just taking out Clyde and Bonnie would surrender. But again, that's why I liked it, because we never got it from the cop's perspective, and it was a fresh way of showing it. Because again, even when I saw in the critic here, someone put the year down, so thank you very much, the 67 version, Frank Hamer was an asshole. The 2013 version, they were a little more lenient with him, but they still painted Frank Hamer, who was played by William Hurt, and great role for William Hurt, as an asshole again, and like a guy who was just like, oh, I'm just gonna kill these people because, it's nice to know that there's probably more to the story, because, and no matter what you believe, folks, two sides to every story, and that's basically where I'll leave it, because, again, if you search some of the things, Bonnie and Clyde were not the nicest people, and they did a lot of despicable things. They weren't, like I was telling him, and like my friend Simon showed me. He told me that, for instance, John Dillinger in Chicago never killed anybody. It was all more of his men that he worked with who were doing it, his hotheads. And, that's one guy who could say you feel bad for when they kill him. But these folks, yeah, they knew what they were doing.
Well,
sort of sad for it. So if you got anything else you want to add, Jack, before we move on?
And Marshall, anybody who's going to try and justify these two little Damonites by saying, oh, they would start out robbing banks. Well, let me ask you something. Where do you think the bank gets its money back from? I'll tell you where. They take it out of your money. You see, when the bank loses money, they don't lose the money, you do. They got to recoup those losses. Oh, and expect those rates you pay at the bank to go up when that does happen.
Well, that was the one thing, but and see, I think that's why during 1934, and for some of these other bank robbers and mafia members during the time who were robbing from the banks, I think that's why it was looked at that by most people, because most people were already living on their own and out in the street. Not many people had much or had homes, so I think it's, they were just holding on to what they had and they weren't investing in the banks. So essentially, in that view, it makes sense. But again, to me, and this is to me, folks, so I'm not trying to make excuses for it. To me, though, it's still just considered a crime what they did. Because believe me, I have no love for banks either. But even with today's stuff, would I try to rob a bank and take from it and, possibly, even if I had no intention to harm anybody, stuff can turn ugly really quick. Could I ever do that? More than likely not. Because you never know what to expect. And even though I may not have love for the banks, it is still a part of our current system and laws against it. So again, I would never do it.
Well,
I would just hope that some way we could change the banks some days, but that's how I would do it.
Marshall, I'd almost explain it like this. There was a great quote I saw on that interwebby thing the kids all be talking about, where they said, give a man a gun, he can rob a bank. Give a man a bank, he can rob the world. But what happens when you kill a person? Well, you take away all the potential they might have done, all the tomorrows, all the happy ever afters, all the weddings, the children, the coming home for Christmas, the birthdays. Yeah, that's all gone. Robbing a bank is just money, that's just numbers shifting hands from one asshole to another. You kill a person in cold blood, you remove all the possibilities they ever could have had.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunateness, and you hit the nail on the head there, I believe, Jack. Let's see, what else have we got? I know there was...
I mean, there's a difference between stealing money and stealing a life,
What? Oh, what the hell's this one? This one's from January 17th of 2020 from a Matt, I'm going to say Cipolla or Capola from the Spool. Never heard of him again. And I quote his review. It's rotten as well, guys. The Highwayman wants to plumb its theme's moral ambiguity, but it wants to have a cut and dry ending even more, end quote. What the hell?
I'm just going to ask this dumbass...
What the hell does that mean?
I'm going to ask this dumbass a question. What about murder and stopping murderers ain't cut and dry? It's kind of a black and white thing.
Yeah. Well, let's try to search for more, because I know there was some of these where let's see, I know I saw some of them. Oh, well, let's quote it really quick. This is another rotten one from Nick Johnston from Vanilla-land, I guess, and I quote from August 8th of 2019. The Highwaymen would have been behind the times even 50 years ago. What the hell?
They never would have made a movie like The Highwayman, even back in the 70s.
So let me ask you this. Even though it was romanticized, and again, the remake was done in 2013, is Bonnie and Clyde the remake and the one in 1967 behind the times? Because, what the...
Because,
what in the hell?
You never see movies or shows that show things from the cop's perspective anymore. I think the last thing before The Highwayman that did that was the Saturday morning cartoon show Cops.
I found it. Here it is. This was the one I saw right in hindsight. From a Rohan Nahar from I didn't notice that, from the Hinduistan Times of April 3rd, 2019. I think this is right when it came out, I think. And I quote, in an age when there's daily discourse on police brutality and mass shootings, the Highwayman decides that now is the best time to tell a story of a couple of policemen who emptied 130 rounds into two 20-somethings.
Oh my God.
Yeah, see, that's some of the crap I saw around. Oh my God.
Okay, so did this guy just pass over the part where Bonnie steps over a man, says, "Hi, honey," and blows his head open with a shotgun?
Yeah. Several times they did it. Not to mention, they killed one of their own. I think it was that boy named McNabb with a baseball bat. That was more than likely Quiet who did that, but still, they killed one of their own with a baseball bat. And,
who tried to protect him?
Frank Hammer and Mina Gold found that poor boy dead. And Mina Gold agonized over it. And again, what was it? Hammer said You know, it was wrong what they did. I agree with you, Manny, and the animals. That's why we gotta take these two down. And for both men, they felt bad because they thought maybe they screwed up and they got McNabb killed.
Stay there for a sec.
What?
Mr. Rohan, I may just be a simple God-fearing Christian man who don't know too much about Hindu, but I gotta ask you, what do you think Vishnu thinks about murder? I'm just asking. Because, hey, it's not like they murdered a cop who was about to get married or nothing. On Easter morning,
Yeah, there was that one.
day of our Lord, and they be spilling blood in his house.
And well, and remember, they just were walking up to them, seeing if they were okay. And again, not many people talk about this, and this is why I thank my friend Simon for telling this. You said, "Oh well, you're just regurgitating everything Simon says," and it's like, well, he told me, and then I looked it up because you know you got to do a little digging for this stuff. It did happen. 2 cops were killed Easter morning, just asking if they were okay, and they just outright killed them. So again, where's the moral ambiguity in that one? And you know, again, when you look at movies and you just try to spin them politically like that, you know, shut up. Because, again, I like how this movie showed that they weren't the nicest people, and they really weren't. And Clyde was vicious. Bonnie, like I said, was probably, in my view, and this is my view, borderline psychotic. And, you know, a pure femme fatale. And as we know, femme fatales were not to be messed with.
And you know, you know what? Just to like avoid anybody saying we're being all negative, oh how dare you talk nice about the cops.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this movie had some very excellent direction in terms of artistic design, set direction. I mean, God, how long has it been since we've seen the old Dr. Pepper logo? You know?
Well, old Dr. Pepper logo plus this. Bonnie and Clyde 67 really didn't have this, and when I saw this in 2013, the 2013 version didn't have this. John Lee Hancock and company really captured the areas of the Depression really well. You would have nice parts of the neighborhood, then you would have broken down parts. You would have the shanty towns people lived in. You know, he really wanted great detail. The end of this movie, when as we could probably say Mr. Rohan believes, where the evil deed was done apparently, was done on the same road where they did. They had to plant trees and other plants to make that highway look like it used to, because obviously it's actually a main highway now with the 2-lane road and all that other stuff. So that's filmmaking dedication right there. And again, that's honor and history in my opinion. But
and you know what else?
Oh well, he can be a goofus if he wants.
And you know what else was nice? I love how they showed actual photos that were taken by the media at the time of like Bonnie. And I also love that they even included the fact that, you know, Bonnie sent a letter to Mr. Ford. You make a damn nice car, Mr. Ford.
Oh well, that was Clyde Barrow.
Yeah, sorry, Clyde.
No worries, Jack. That happens.
But again, I mean, the attention to detail in this movie, I'll be honest with you, from a historical perspective, this one blows Titanic out of the water harder than the iceberg did. So, yeah, suck it up, Leo. There's a new king of the historical documentaries.
Yeah, well, again, that movie, I mean, I'm pretty sure, again, Highwaymen took some liberties himself, but, again, Titanic had a lot of it, and again, I think a lot of people watch Titanic just for the sinking, even though that's the saddest part, but it's the most historically accurate part of it, because I don't think anyone, I mean, there are people who liked it, but I know I didn't care about that love story, but let's not get into that, because if I ever do get Titanic on DVD or Blu-ray, you and I will talk about that one till the cows come home, too, about how, that love story probably should never have existed.
I mean, dear Lord, forget me, but we're going to talk about some stupid if that ever happens.
Oh, yeah, let's see here, let's see, well, yeah, we've done enough of the Don, you know, rotten. Let's do some fresh here before we end this video. Let's see here. What's it? Oh, we'll stop at the top one. This is the most recent one. It's from Lanita Cook of KCTV5 News at 9 from September 30th of 2021. So pretty recent this. And I quote, Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson, how can you go wrong? They both do what they do well. Yes, they do.
And
yes, they do. They were great picks for this movie.
this might have been Woody Harrelson's best acting gig because, hey, he was acting like anything but an asshole. So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I don't need to mention more of that because Jarek said it best. I really can't have more. Let's see here. We'll do this one. August 26th of 2021. And let's see, this is from Mark Jackson of, oh, hey,
the
Epic
Epoch
Times. Yep. And, or Epoch, yeah. I always keep wanting to say Epic, but it's Epoch, yeah. The Highwayman, and I quote, the Highwayman portrays the more upright ethics of the Depression era, law enforcement and media-wise, and feels vastly more realistic than its famous 1967 Body and Clyde cinematic predecessor. Yes, Mark Jackson, yes, I don't think I could say it any better myself. You are right on the mark with that, because again, as we were just talking, the aesthetics were done well. Thomas Newman's score, pretty damn well done. The acting, the characters. Even though sometimes you could say that some of the characters didn't look like themselves, I have to say personally, if you want to know the actors who had spot on, Kathy Bates is Ma Ferguson. Is as they say the lady governorship, Ma Ferguson.
And hey,
she looked almost exactly like her. It was sort of scary seeing those credits again and be like, damn, that was very close.
And Marshall Boku? Hallelujah, take me to church. This is why the Epoch Times is the most trusted name in news.
Well, yeah, for a newspaper, because they are a newspaper. They do have some online stuff, but you can still buy a newspaper from them. So absolutely. Let's see here. Okay, I gotta read this one, because this one's, since we did four, I'll read this third one out, because this is a little hilarious to me. From November 14th of 2020, 2 years ago now, from a Charles Koplinski, there we go, Real Talk with Chuck and Pam. Interesting. The film is far too long, but Costa and Harrison make it worth your while, what with their poignant, sincere performances. Agree to that, except for the far too long part, my friend. If I remember, I think it was only 2 hours and 12 minutes, if I remember seeing it.
Well, if I remember, based on the timestamp we saw on screen, it was an hour and 42 minutes, but...
Could be that,
I'll be honest with you, with how good Mr. Costner, Mr. Harrison, and everyone was, it felt longer, but it was a good long, not a Justice League Snyder Cut long.
Now, I know a lot of people have been saying it, and I will say it like this too. Yes, it is a slow burn sort of movie, but again, I think they need to bring that back more, personally. Because, to me, it was well paced, it was engaging, because you like the characters, and I'm not just talking about Woody Harrelson and Kevin Costner and Manny Galton, Frank Hammer. You like all the characters in it, like John Carroll Lynch, who played Lee Simmons, Ma Ferguson, who was played by Kathy Bates. You had flipping William Sadler, who I had not seen in a movie in a while, play Mr. Barrow, Clyde Barrow's father, who I thought was a great choice as well. So you have great aesthetics, great music, great acting all throughout. So, and like me and Simon here was talking about, as a kid, I don't think I could ever do a movie like this. But then again, I didn't have an appreciation for drama or longer films. I was back then into the only hour and 20-minute, hour and 30-minute films. But then I grew to appreciate film more and like them more. So now, if you give me a good film, and I mean a good film, that's anywhere from 2 hours, 3 hours, hell, even the 4-hour ones, I like them.
I'm not going to say I would be willing to sit through a 6-hour movie for something as good as Treasure Planet, but when the fuck we getting more Treasure Planet, Disney, huh?
Well, I think that's a little interesting request. I mean, I'd like to see more too, but just like how, why didn't they do more of the books based on, what was it? Oh yeah, Treasure Island, because there were more books based on that, but they only did the one Treasure Island back in, I think it was 57. But either way, good point, but hey. And let's see, we'll do one more here before we end our things here. So let's see, what is one that we could use? Oh, I like this one here. Let's see. This one is from a Jim Shrimbry. I'm sorry if I just butchered your name. From April 30th of 2020, and I quote: "The story behind the demise of legendary Bonnie and Clyde at the well-armed hands of two aging Texas Rangers gets a solid, unhurried treatment here. Director John Lee Hancock directs the drama with a hard nose and with no love for the celebrity criminals." Yes, indeedy, he did.
Amen. Preach, brother.
He did. And you know what? The one part I'll say here that I know we didn't mention yet is at the end of this movie, all the cops that did the deed, after they did in many ways, and I will say it like this, after they butchered Bonnie and Clyde, because they did 137 bullets into that goddamn car. And holy shit. But, again, you know, that was the thing. And that's why I've heard other people talk about this before. That's why I think people say they love it right at the end. That's the one time we see Bonnie and Clyde first full on is right before they die. Because, again, it's hard to believe that even though they were in their 20s, two kids were essentially creating all this crime. And, again, it just brings that fact of, after all they're doing, after all they did, and you and I talked about this at length, Jack, last night, after all they did, even though they only had a sandwich and an apple in that car, what did Frank Hammer see? He saw the Tommy gun, and he took a chance. Because imagine if they had the gun, and he didn't do anything, I'm pretty sure Bonnie and Clyde would have came out shooting.
And let's be honest, people. Call a spade. Bonnie and Clyde were just two sociopaths in love with causing trouble and being assholes.
Well, you know...
Say what you want about the cops. They did their jobs, and frankly, they got demonized for it.
Well, yeah, and then you see the true ending of the movie, which not a lot of people see this too, where all the people who fell in love with them, yeah, some of them were crying, some of them were in disbelief, but you had all the people, all these women and men, trying to get into that car afterwards, rip things off of them, their jewelry, their clothes, whole bunch of different things, and, you know, just animalistic in its approach. And
then you just see the cops looking in horror and disbelief at all this absolute nonsense. And I remember Hammer and his boy are in the shop, and he's watching this, and one of the younger cops runs up. It's like, Mr.
Oh, no, not a young cop. He was a reporter for the Associated Press.
But he runs up. He's like, "Sir, we got the Associated Press on the phone in the back. $1,000 for an interview right now." And Mr. Hammer, is the good, honest, God-fearing gentleman he is, just shakes his head and walks away. And his boy's like, "Shame on you."
Yeah, Manny Gulch is like, "Shame on you," you know? Because, again, if there's one thing that this movie shows that doesn't change much, it's the media and how they portray things sometimes.
You know, I'll tell you, Boku, this really does harken back to something I've always believed.
What's that, Jack?
You know, people really don't realize that there is nothing in being a hero. The hero does not get the girl. He doesn't get famous. He doesn't get loved. I don't care what you've seen in the shows and the movies. The hero, the Messiah, the prophet, he's always the loneliest, most hated, most disrespected person until after he's dead. Meanwhile, all the assholes they have to save us from, well, look at Bonnie and Clyde. And I hate to say this, but if there's one thing the good Lord Jesus taught me, you are not in it for the glory. You are not in it for the girl. You are not in it for the legacy. You are here to do a goddamn job. The Lord sent you here to do something. Now get that shit done.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you know, it's just, so this is our last one here. I guess I could say within final saying, I'm glad this movie exists. I'm glad we get the other side of it because, again, not many dramas are romanticized. Yes, dramas do take some liberties to make it a movie with the truth. And, you know, sometimes I don't mind it because when you really learn the truths of the backstories of some of these people based on, I mean, even with the dramas we fictionize, you know, some of these murderers in them are based off of real people, or, you know, if it's like something bad that happened to somebody or hard times or something, sometimes seeing the real thing, even for someone like me, it can be hard. So sometimes when liberties are taken, you can enjoy it because, again, movies are supposed to be entertainment. And, the fact that, at least for this one, regardless of what liberties they took, I'm glad this one does Hamer and Galt and pretty much most of the police department in a good light, because I know this is an unpopular thing, and if this hurts our video, I'm sorry. I may not trust law enforcement right now, but that's just because of how the people who run it, I don't trust. But you men and women who are out there trying to do your jobs and trying to do them as well as you can, I still support you. And I still support you, and I don't support your captains or your sergeants or your chief of polices who are, kowtowing and basically masturbating over all the red tape.
And hey, on the offhanded chance my cousin Poncho be watching this, keep fighting the good fight, brother. We need more people like you. We need more people like your son. God rest his soul.
Absolutely. And you know what? I mean, overall, again, it's a good film. And again, I know I told you guys to go see it. And again, if they have seen it, I don't know if you're in the mood to watch it, but whenever you're in the mood to watch it again, because it's a great crime drama. I believe this is on DVD and Blu-ray somewhere, and I definitely want to get a copy because this is a phenomenal film, and I definitely want to add it to my crime drama collection. More than likely, I'll probably put this one either right before or right after The Untouchables. Probably right after, since The Untouchables, I think, takes place in 1930 or 31, whenever Capone legitimately went to jail. But, it's definitely going in there, and it's definitely a good film. And again, I will say, since this isn't a regular review, for you folks, if you want to leave anything in the comments, go right ahead. And I'll admit, even if it's negative, I'll enjoy reading the negative ones, because that's why I've had people say don't do the allow all comments, but I really want to see if any of you put anything down, even if you're a bot. I just want to see what you guys say. And, be honest about it, because personally, like, the reason we would do the reviews like these is because, again, I want to see what all the fans think. I want to see what the critics think. I want to see how much we agree or differentiate. And again, there are people who couldn't get past the length, or couldn't get past what the story was about, but then we've seen those few people, Epic Times, that Shrebby guy. Let me take one quick look again. I want to make sure that Jim Shrembry, I think I didn't say where you're from, so I'll say it now.
3AW.
3AW, I'm going to say Thrall, basically. You guys really looked at it, too, for the way it was, and I appreciate that. Because, again, when I saw this film, I was blown away, and it's a great film. And, again, you guys just leave your comments, do whatever you want to do. We appreciate it.
And Boku, I'll say it like this, there was a kid in high school told me a bit of wise words, How are you going to know the whole story if you don't hear both sides of it?
That is very true, and we make up our own minds about the process. But then, as I'll say here, and I'm not going to try to get political with it, but when you hear both sides, and let's say you look it up and you get the facts, you're going to ignore the facts still, or you're going to say, well, I was wrong. That's all I'll say. But until then, hope you guys enjoy the review. I hope you guys enjoy our new process when we go back and re-review films, because this is sort of how we do it. Just go through the fan stuff or the critics and see how they compare for us. Because basically, you see how both me and Jack passionately love this film, and I'm glad I showed Jack to it now. There's another friend, I'll say your name, I'm not going to say who you are personally, but the Grey Fox 37. I want to show this to you at some point. Some point we'll work on it, because I think you'll enjoy it, my friend. I think you will. It's a good, right up your alley, time period, about the things I know you support good law enforcement as well, Grey Fox. And, me and Jack will be waiting for you, because I know we're going to put same thing on you. What's her name? Pikachu 27?
Wasn't 23? I thought it was 23.
Oh, maybe it was 23, Jack. Thank you. It's been a while since we've done a video with those guys, so hell if I know. But anyway, it was nice being with you guys. We'll talk to you again later, alright? Deuces.
Thank you all kindly for watching.
Yes, yes. Yeah.